Hi, this is Shakira.
And this is Lia,
We're cooking up a great conversation.
starting with a cup of insights,
Add a tablespoon of fun.
a slice of drama,
Drama. A pinch of salt.
para may konting alat, and lots of pepe.
Siyempre, may anghang.
Welcome to Salt and Pepe Podcast.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Salt and Pepe Podcast.
Welcome back, everyone. Welcome to Salt and Pepe Podcast. Welcome back, Ia.
Yes, I've been gone. I've been gone for about 10. Well, I was out of the country for about 10 days on vacation. So thanks so much. Maybe we can talk about my trip next time. But thank you, Leah, for the work that you did wrapping up the New York City episode. And I hope our listeners enjoyed that.
Yeah, I hope they enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed editing it and doing it, actually. It was so much fun, di ba? Sobra yung energy natin on the last,
Masyadong
like, talking about
excited.
it. Right? Sobra,
Masyado
yeah,
tayong excited. I don't know kung baka
yeah,
someone might take our advice to visit New York tapos ma-disappoint sila kasi masyadong happy yung energy natin. But if you don't enjoy it, baka you
yeah.
just don't get it. So I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, just tell us, message us, and we'll give some tour tips, di ba?
Yeah.
Um,
I heard from my friend Didi Paterno who she lives in Texas but she really loves New York.
mm,
So sabi niya naiyak daw siya sa
oh,
episode natin because she misses New York so much. So I thought that was such a sweet reaction na parang naging emotional. But I guess that's how you really know that someone really has a connection
yes.
with New York na talagang nararamdaman nila what exactly we're talking about because it's hard to
Yes.
describe, you just have to experience it.
Yes, the impact, right? And then so cool that when really literally like a day or two, the post that I placed
Mhm.
in our IG came up. I was just laughing because I was taking kwento, right? I was talking about New York, and you would always say, "Don't go there." And then the moment I go there, I asked you to take you forgot about it na nga eh. I asked you to take a photo, and then after that, parang after several minutes, I checked my Facebook. Parang, huh? Sino nag-post nito? About me not being happy in New
Parang
York. And
sabi ng
then,
mga tao, I wonder if they worried about you when they saw that you.
yes. 22 comments. Oh, kamusta ka? What happened? Ganon. Because nga, all raves, diba? When I got there. Tapos biglang ganong post.
But I
And
hate
then,
New York.
and I wanna go home. And then, yun, sa comments lang, they were just, may nag-hack lang. They were just laughing after. That's true.
So yeah, moving forward to our topic, we are now in episode 8. Hard to believe, and we've been having so much fun doing this podcast. So again, another timely topic. Before we forget, we want to greet everybody Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's
Happy
Day.
Mother's Day. It's such a regular occasion na parang we take for granted, I think. And I think it's nice to have a good, like, in-depth conversation about mothers in general, mother figures especially. Um, you know, mothers obviously they shape our lives, right? And not just our biological mothers, of course. Don't they always say that it takes a village to raise a child?
That's true. Pagdating ng May, ako, I always remember, oh, it's Mother's Day na in May. Basta May, alam mo na kagad na Mother's Day because nga, as you said nga, really a big impact in your life.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm,
each of one of us has been mothered in some way, di ba,
mm-hmm,
by a lot of people who are not actually our mothers.
mm-hmm.
So in this episode, we will talk about our other maternal figures and how they've contributed to who we are now.
So our episode 8 is called Our Other Mothers, especially for Mother's Day. Not to discount our actual biological mothers and the mothers who raised that's a given. But I think we wanted to do a tribute to our other mothers so we can properly honor them. All of us are products of our environment, right? Like the adult influences in our lives are not just limited to our parents, because we're also exposed to all different kinds of people when we were growing up, right? Not just parents or our mothers, there's teachers, relatives, other mentors, friends of our parents, role models, right? So, in order to qualify what we're going to be discussing about our other mothers, what qualities can you think of when we're talking about mothers and the act of mothering?
So for me, when that question, no, it's really feeling safe. Like,
Mhm.
'di ba? Ako minsan pag talagang funny lang, pag yung talagang iyak na iyak ka, talagang, "Mommy," gano'n, 'di ba? Yung parang yung una mong reaction na
Uh-huh.
if you're in pain, yun talagang sobrang
Mhm.
it's kahit funny physical pain lang or if you're super duper sick. Sometimes I'm like that and I'm alone
Mhm.
and super duper sick. Mommy ko talaga una kong sabihin.
Mommy.
Mommy, I'm sick. Anyway, and then yun, feeling safe, you are listened to,
Mhm.
tough love because I've said that also in the past episode, tough love. Pero yung you're reprimanded because you did something wrong,
Mhm.
'di. Not yung tough love na talagang really yung bad tough love,
Mhm.
hindi gano'n. It's just telling you what you have to do because you did something wrong. It's just molding you,
Mhm.
'di. And then for us it's really also how I grew up yung following your stages. So if you're a kid, they let you be a child. And if you're an
Mhm.
adult, you're an adult. So
Mhm.
ganon. And then usually also mothering is just giving you time to have fun. So
Mhm.
yun yung naiisip ko um about mothering and nurturing. Ikaw,
Mhm.
what about you?
When I think of mothers and mother figures, first things that come to my mind, especially, is the one who physically raised you, as in physically took care of you, fed you, made sure you're okay, gave you the emotional support, someone who was a constant presence and a reliable presence, and also someone who is a model of good behavior, mentor or advisor, stuff like that. I guess that also comes with the discipline part. Basically, like everything that you need as a child to grow up to be a decent person. That's what I think about when I think of mothers. So I know, since we've known each other for a long time, I know that you have a great relationship with your mom. So I know that you're not lacking in that department. But I know that there are also other people that you consider as mother figures. So maybe we should start first with the ones that are in our family, like our aunts, grandmothers, mga ninang, ganyan,
Yes.
sisters, cousins. I know that you come from a big and close knit family. So I want to hear all about your other mothers within your family.
Yes. So yes, my mom and I have really good relationship. It's also because when I was young, my dad left. So talagang it's just me and my mom.
Mhm.
Yun lang talaga. That's why we're very close. Kasi wala rin yung wala akong father figure nun. And with that, we lived nga with my lolo and lola.
Mhm.
And of course, her other older siblings, dami nila eh.
Mhm.
They're eight.
Wow.
So there was just three boys and all are women.
Mhm.
So we really grew up in a house full of women.
Mhm.
And so since of course the older siblings have their own families, they have their own place. So we were just with my other aunt who's
Mhm.
younger. So yun, those were my other mothers. It's my
Mhm.
tita, but everyone actually because they're the same characters eh. So parang kumbaga the how my mom brought me up is also how my titas are with me.
Mhm.
So growing up I would be of course with my lolo and lola. So my
Mhm.
lola. And then if I would spend summers with my cousin,
Mhm.
my tita's there to take care
Mhm.
of me. So there
Mhm.
are and this is sa kanila, whoever's the older may respect. So they would allow the other titas to reprimand. I mean to discipline us
Mhm.
also. Baga exactly, they were treated as their child if I'm gonna visit them
Mhm.
at home. So I spend my summers with my cousin because I'm also an only child.
Mhm.
So my mom would want me to, of course, have time with my other cousins kasi wala man akong kapatid.
Mhm.
And then my lola, so even though that my biological father left, he went abroad, the Roques, my lola, I would still visit my lola because I'm the eldest apo. And this, of course, they
Oh,
still,
you're that one. You're the
yeah,
golden. Wait, are you eldest apo
in the
on
Roque,
the? Oh, okay, the father side.
the father, biological
But
father
father
side.
side, yeah.
So I'm the eldest apo. So of course, they wanted to see me kahit nag-separate yung parents ko, they still
Yeah.
wanted to be with me. And my mom naman did have a problem with that. So that's my other. During summer
Mhm.
talaga, I would spend a week or two with my lola,
Mhm.
and my lola would take care of me there. So
Mhm.
yun. So it's my aunts and my really family talaga. And of course,
Mhm.
um, my tita, Marisa, had also a partner, si Tita Ses. So yun talaga, I consider that talaga family. So those are
Ever
my
since the
aunts. So
beginning, talaga. I guess they've been together for such a long time.
40 plus years already. They've been partners. Pero
Oh.
I've seen it how it started. Talagang hindi pa sila. I saw my other tita's partners, whatever. But hindi pa sila, when they started, nakilala ko na rin. So, yun. That's my, it's really aunts and lola.
Mhm.
Where are my other mothers?
Oh, okay.
Ikaw.
Um, I have a few also. I learned doing some reading. I do some a little bit of research when we come up with a podcast and what the importance is. And it did occur to me that not only are yung mga mother figures sa family natin, they're not only parang second mothers to be there like physically, um, or to discipline you or to kind of like be supportive, like take a supportive role as a secondary mother, but also yung relatives natin, they're the ones who preserve the family's legacy and history to the next generation,
Yes,
right?
true.
Because it's like what we get from our parents, not we don't always like they don't always have time to tell all the stories, or you also don't see your parents as anything more than your parent if you don't hear someone else talking about your mom, for
True.
example, right? But when nandiyan na yung mga siblings or mga lola or mga aunts or whatever, then they start to talk about how the family's always been, how your parent was before they had kids. And so parang you learn more about yung mga personalities nila and how that also applies to you, and you learn about yourself too, not just parang linear relationship na kung ano man lang yung sabihin ng parent to you, but you don't have an idea of how you fit into the whole clan, or how your parent like fits or interacts, or how they were as people before. And I guess I learned this also when I started spending time with my ninang, who's my mom's youngest sister, and she had a lot of stories about me when I was a baby that I never heard before. Kasi I guess my parents also hindi masyadong chatty, hindi sila masyadong makwento, or maybe they're just too busy to talk about those things. But she had a lot to say of about how I was as a kid. Yung madami siyang kwento na like, oh, nung bata ka, you had such a great memory, and basta bibo ka, and basta you had a lot of opinions about things and blah, blah, blah. And, I never heard that before. And when I heard that as an adult, parang inisip ko na parang, it, I could have used that when I was younger. I could have used those stories, or I could have used that kind of like reinforcement na someone telling me, you were such an interesting kid. Because I had no idea, right? Because you don't see yourself that way. And then if you don't also receive that kind of reinforcement from your immediate family, to hear that, na parang may nag-observe sa'yo, and then you see how you are and how you fit into the scheme of things. Parang it's really nice to hear. And also, you get to learn stories about my parents, when they were younger, how they were, how my parents met, because I don't even know how my parents met or what their love story is. Like, I think nung pandemic, there was a time that my family was chatting a lot. And so sabi ko, kailangan may topic tayo. So I would come up with topics of like how did you guys meet? When nobody has an idea or whatever. And that's the only time they actually talked about it. So anyway, like the other maternal figures in our family like can provide that kind of history and legacy and kind of like grounding in how you belong in the scheme of things. So that's a role that they play. My other mother figures in the family are my sisters, and my ate Mirza, and also my middle sister Aya. They've always been there for me. I've talked a lot in the past episodes about, we have a lot of family issues, and it's not it hasn't always been happy for us. So my siblings and I have leaned on each other so much, and especially me as the youngest, I've leaned on my older sisters so much. And I think if not for their example and their strength and us like coming together, I'm not sure actually if I would have made it and I would have become this strong if we didn't have each other to commiserate with. I also have like some other my mom's side, all her siblings moved to the States, so hindi namin masyado nakikita. And then my dad's siblings also, they didn't get along when we were younger. So we're parang a little bit isolated within our immediate family. So um one
Mm.
notable one that I can remember actually is we my brother and I, well, my siblings and I, we all went to Montessori school, and one teacher there turned out to be my mom's parang first or second cousin or something, Tita Rose.
Mm.
And then she was, I guess siguro kasi pamangkin niya kami or something. We didn't really know her before we met her in school. Like she really paid attention to us when we were kids. Na parang one-on-one time or something. And I thought, I was thinking about this when I was coming up with, what I was going to say. Parang I realized then how valuable that one-on-one attention was. Because parang tinatanong kami, parang, oh, anong gusto niyo? Do you want ice cream or something? And then my brother and I were like parang so shocked. Which is kind of sad na parang feeling namin it's the first time that we're being asked. Eh, mga ano na kami nun, siguro mga grade 3 or something. Parang it was the first time that we were being asked like, what do you want? And I'll get it for you. It's parang, I guess that's how I remember her, na parang she really gave us like that kind of attention that maybe I guess we weren't getting from like our parents or adult relatives at home. So I think that's like a noteworthy thing. My Tita Rose Leaño. Hope she's doing well.
Oh, that's so nice, 'di ba? Um, sa amin din, kasi I mean, ang galing nung sinabi mo about you will get to know your parents more from others, 'di ba? Kasi you know
Mhm,
them as your mom and your
mhm,
dad lang, 'di
mhm.
ba? Kasi, well, our families are so chatty eh. So,
Yeah.
we really know really the life
Mhm.
stories of them growing up, like how I was when I was young. And I was telling my mom, Mom, they always call me Unano. Is it because I'm so short ba? I was saying, my mom goes, Sira. So, ganun, you were called Unano because parang akong maliit na matanda. Parang ganun daw na I would just chat
Parang
away, ganyan.
mature.
Mature na, just talking and talking, like not a kid. So, because yun nga, in our family, they didn't treat us like super kids. We were always part of the conversation.
Conversation. That's nice.
Yes, they would always listen to us. They would ask, "Oh, how are you?" Tell us, ganyan. Parang they really want to know what's happening to you.
Mhm.
Um, and I think because we also like so much of play, I think play really plays an important part of growing up.
Mm-hmm.
So because they're athletes, we always want to play. They play with us.
Mm-hmm.
We run around, we tag. Yung ganong activities, they would make obstacle course for us and they would say, okay, team one.
Oh, that's
Two.
exciting.
Yeah, they would
Are
get all.
they? Is your mom boomer?
I don't know. Ano siya? Hippie.
Silent generation? What's
They're
her
the
year?
sev-
Siyempre,
fifty-four.
out si mom. What?
54.
54. Trying to think. Hindi pa yata in boomer. I guess it's still part of like silent. They call it silent generation, but maybe.
I
Oh nga,
think
medyo
so.
mga pa-hippie. Ah,
Hippie yun. Sila
ah,
talaga. Ano sila? Marshmallow babies. Ang
yeah.
tawag.
But I
Sausage.
think they're like younger silent generation. My parents are like the older ones,
Yeah,
I
the
think,
boom.
because
Yes.
I've been reading about this too, the differences, yung mga the
Mm,
boomers and whatever, and kung bakit like the boomers. I think your mom is closer to the boomer generation where everybody. I think it's the first generation that actually um focus on themselves and their happiness.
I think so too.
Yeah, kasi yung silent generation na tinatawag, like my parents belong there. I think it started in the early 40s. It's during wartime and immediately post-war and post-recession. So, ang dami nilang, they grew up and they were born into so much trauma and hardship and whatever na parang they just learn to keep it all in, and parang they when I yeah, I see this in my parents na hindi sila masyadong mapakwento, and it's all parang survival lang. But then it
True.
transformed when things got better, yung boomer generation, then they started feeling more like better about themselves and like what do I want to be happy, and I'm going to claim it or create it for myself. So I guess
I think.
that's yeah, that's a trying to think of the difference. Or your family is just super happy.
I call my family modern family. That's why natuwa ako when I saw that show, Modern Family. That's my family because our family doesn't, we don't call our older cousins ate or kuya. We
Mhm.
don't even say that. So I just say because we're modern, there's no ate or kuya. So when
Mm.
my brother calls me Lia, they say, "Bakit hindi mo sinasabing ate, huh?" As in we're just shocked. It's okay. And we don't mano. It's all beso. So
Yeah. Yung
so
mga I think it's also parang may pagka-regional din kasi yung mga po at opo eh. I
I
remember
think so
being
too.
young and hindi kasi kami tinuruan. Although I call my older sisters ate, we weren't raised to do the po and opo. And ho,
Yeah.
hindi kami tinuruan ng ganun because I think some dialects they don't have that.
I see. Yeah.
I think sa Tagalog malakas yung ganun eh. Pero yung kunyari, like Ilocano, I don't think they have a direct like po and opo.
Mm,
So hindi kami pinalaki
true.
ng ganun. So when we were teenagers, minsan napagalitan kami. Ng bastos daw namin, hindi daw kami magalang kasi hindi kami na marunong magpo. So.
Interesting, no? But in our naman, my lolo doesn't like saying yeah. You can't say yeah. It has to be yes. And when you
Oh,
say yes, it has to be yes, lolo. Yes, tito.
yeah.
It's a man. So we don't say po, but we have to say yes, lolo.
Lolo.
Yes, tito. Yes, tita.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yan.
Anyway, so with that, another topic we can
Ang
talk
dami.
about dami, no? About the Philippine culture, iba rin talaga. So with this, so mothering is not limited to our relatives, diba? So do you have ones where they're not related to you, but they played a big role in your life?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think mas madami nga sa akin na not related to me because as I mentioned, we were a little bit isolated because my mom's siblings were in the States and my dad's siblings, we didn't see them much kasi medyo they weren't getting along. So wala kami masyadong exposure to cousins. So, of course, there would be other mga role models who would be either filling in or who would have like direct access to us. I can think of like my high school English teacher. I'm not sure if I see her as a mother. Um, Angie, if you're listening. But I just also, I guess I was so deprived or I'm such a sucker for this one-on-one attention that she really, maybe also she felt that Hindi naman masyadong malaki pa rin yung age gap namin. I don't even think it's 5 years. But she was like a new teacher in high school, and then I think I was like a junior and senior. So she wasn't that much older, pero I guess maybe na sense niya na either may pagka-troubled ako, or I needed some supervision or whatever, na she actually spent like one-on-one time with me and made me feel important. And actually, when I was having a lot of trouble kind of coming to terms with my family background, parang she helped me accept things instead of fighting things and wanting things to change. Na parang sinabi niya talaga, maybe that's just how it is or whatever. And then I credit her for that, because I think that was the first time na parang I realized that I don't have to make things the right way. I can just accept that as it is and then focus on myself and how I'm going to move forward with that. So that was very important to me. And actually, um, she actually also kind of reparented me. I don't know if you've heard this term in therapy or in like, in social media, but when you're in therapy, especially, or you're dealing with a lot of your personal issues, there's a term called reparenting, where you give yourself or your partner gives you what you didn't get when you were a child. Like if you weren't soothed, or you never learned how to soothe yourself or to comfort yourself, you either learn how to comfort yourself, or your partner learns how to do that so that you feel secure. So um my friend Angie, she actually would meet up with me on like Saturdays. Kahit na high school na ako tsaka college na ako noon, na tinadala niya ako dun sa Glicos, na parang arcade sa Makati. Glorieta, I think. And it was such a special time for me. Kahit na ang tanda ko na, right? It's like college na ako, but we would spend that time and we would just play all the arcade games, and we would do like mga whack-a-mole, whatever games, mga basketball or whatever. And she would just spend that time with me, and then she would ask me, what else do you want? Do you want whatever gift or book or whatever? And it was just like so shocking to me. And I guess it's telling, because you don't know it when you're in that situation. I just think about it now that I'm realizing this. I didn't even plan on talking about this, but I just remembered that it was so shocking to me that this person was spending time with me. So I guess that was very telling, because I didn't get that. I think my parents were just too busy and too caught up in their own stuff to actually spend that kind of time with their children, na parang take you to do something fun and actually do kid stuff and make sure that the kid like does like is happy in a kid kind of way. And so I'm so grateful. I'm really so grateful for that time that she spent with me. It was so unnecessary. Ang tanda ko na it was probably even weird, because we were like so close in age, but she was doing all this stuff with me. I was just, yeah, I feel like that healed like a lot of my stuff, and also made me realize how important that is to do for a child, or even for an adult to even do it in the future and just make someone feel special that way. So thanks so much, Angie. And other people I can think of is, I don't want to mention my ex's name, but I used to live with my ex and her family, and her mom really took me in as one of her own, and was concerned about me, was making sure I was eating well, that I had everything I needed. And they didn't have much, but she shared whatever she had with me, and was just so selfish and so giving, na talagang parang first time ko naramdaman yon. And I was just like, oh wow, like I feel so loved and so seen and so cared for and so part of this family, which I didn't feel before. So thank you. I can't mention your name, but I want to thank you for that. And of course, not last but not the least, my yaya, which I will talk about more later, or else I'm gonna take up the full hour. But
Oo nga.
yeah.
Yes, your yayas, they really play a big role, 'di ba, in the Philippine setting. Sa amin naman kasi, I don't remember if I had a yaya. I did have yayas, but not really like just for me. Kumbaga, I
Mhm,
think they had other
mhm,
roles. Um, I think may one time, but I think my mom told me I chose my yayas. I was very particular daw with
mhm,
who I wanted to be with.
mhm,
But growing up nga with my lolo, they had helpers. So, ang helpers and the drivers are really part of our family eh. Like,
mhm.
they allow the helpers to reprimand us again. So if
Yeah.
they say, oh, pag makulit yan, make sure they know what to do. Kumbaga, they're really
Mhm,
part of the family,
mhm,
and um we show them respect too. We can't just nako, if we do something, kami papagalitan, 'di ba? If
mhm,
we do something mean or abuse our helpers, mo gagalit talaga. I grew up with the helpers, and the kids of the helpers, they stayed also with us. So
mhm,
yun, then when we go out, syempre we will be with the other yayas and their kids. So, syempre sila yung kasama. They really trust. Kumbaga sometimes we moved the house and we had the helper said, gusto ko pumunta ng Cubao po, ganyan. Sabi, oh, sama mo na si Lia. Ganon. My mom was
mhm,
just with that so comfortable. Na
mhm,
siguro kasi my mom also wanted me to experience some stuff and she couldn't do it because she was working, 'di ba?
mhm, mhm,
So, our helpers talaga have really a big part also in our lives. And yun, growing up also in my lolo's household, talagang they're really part of our lives growing up.
mhm,
So, super timing also one kwento. Just recently, siguro a week ago, the super one of, ito naman, yaya naman ng cousin ko. Siya
mhm,
talaga, I think, 4 years. 4 decades, sorry, 4 decades with the family. And that was from Jessica being from baby, siya talaga yung yaya ni
mhm.
Jessica. Ganon. And we really grew up with her. Siya talaga family, si Manang Auring. Manang Auring, thank you for everything. She just passed away.
Oh,
Sobrang,
sorry.
sobrang sad nga na parang, but everybody knew her talaga. And she was just
Mhm.
the life of the party. And then Manang Auring will just sometimes drink beer. Tapos, nakakatawa. Basta she's part of our family. Tapos niloloko lang namin yan, ganyan lagi. But yun, she took care of us talaga like her own, as in.
Mhm,
So,
mhm.
thank you so much, Manang Auring. And then, ikaw. So, with that, a background. I like this also. I like this relationship. Naiyak kaya ako. Kwento about your yaya.
Yeah, yeah, my yaya. Before I get into that, I really want to mention how yayas are such a big part of Filipino culture. For the non-Filipinos, a yaya is a nanny or a second mother or a household helper that helps with raising the kids. Para siyang, anong tawag doon?
Mary
What's it?
Poppins?
Oh, right. It's like a, what do they call them? I forget the French term. Right, there's
Oh,
a French term. It's that.
yes.
Like I was about to throw out mga French terms. Like ano ba yun, maitre d' or like pied à
Yeah.
terre? No, no, it's like
No, no,
it's
no.
uh, au pair, right? Like
Okay.
parang yeah, live in nanny basically. So yayas in Filipino culture are really big kasi ang hirap ng buhay and most of the time you have two working parents or you just need another set of hands, another person to help with the kids. I don't think it's talked about as much or that we don't really admit how big a role are the yayas in families play and how much influence that they actually have on the kids, di ba? Kasi parang iniisip mo na, okay, household helper, but it's really, I feel like it's discounted kung ano talaga yung what they bring into the family. It's not, parang iniisip mo na, parang they just help. But actually, a lot of the times, the yayas are the primary caregiver and they have such a great impact on the children that they take care of. So um when the kids get older, or the yaya, the family parents feel like there's not much like need for the yaya anymore. I don't think a lot of parents really anticipate or consider the trauma of that separation in kids, right? Kasi parang isip mo, hindi, it's just a helper, we can get another one, or it's not really your, or
Mm.
maybe denial na din ng parents, right? Na ayaw nilang aminin na talagang may impact or may attachment, right? So um I feel like the yayas who have raised children from infancy, and they were there throughout the kids like entire childhood. Yung biglang nawala yung yaya, I think that's a huge impact. That's something that parents should consider, instead of parang, "Ay, hindi, it's just another helper." Right? I think it's something to think
True.
about. And I lived that. I lived that experience. My yaya, she passed away, I think 2 or 3 years na ba now. I actually, my oldest sister Mirza, and I actually called her mommy. That's how close we were. But everyone else called her Yaying. Her name's Esperanza de la Cruz. She was with our family for 30 years. So from everyone's infancy to adulthood, nandyan talaga siya. And especially me, since I was the youngest, talagang we're like inseparable. We were inseparable. Talagang siya talaga yung mommy nga tawag ko sa kanya eh. Like, she could never be away from me, or else magwawala daw ako. So katabi ko siya matulog until finally my mom was like, I think kailangan na kayong paghiwalayan. I think mga grade 5 na yata ako or something. Malapit na ako mag-high school, and my mom's like, I don't think, yeah, I think it's time for you to stop sleeping beside your yaya. Medyo malaki ka na. So, that's something that had to happen. But I was super, super spoiled and super loved by my yaya. Sometimes I think about it na, oh, I guess she she just a really good employee. But I just feel like I really was so loved and so cared for by my yaya. Um, Even if she was paid for that job, I just feel like she gave everything to me, gave everything she had, and she really had such a huge impact on my life. We even mentioned her. I even mentioned her, diba, dun sa, I think sa What is Love ba? The episode, right?
Yes, yes,
Because
yes.
I mentioned before that, and I've written about this too, that everything that I know about love, I learned from my yaya. You know, uh,
Mm.
I guess part of it is a little bit sad that I didn't learn it from the people I was supposed to learn it from. But part of me is also so grateful and so lucky that I did have that. And when I actually have like this idea of how it is to like completely be to love to love someone and be completely devoted to someone. I think about my yaya and I just follow her example. So she was with us until my adulthood, and then finally she had to go back to the province, I think, because we're all grown also, and she was getting old. So she retired, but we were always in touch. And when I moved to the States, I supported her with the help of my siblings, also took care of her medical needs until she passed away. But it's sad, but I'm so grateful to have that experience. When I talk to other people, um, they always say I'm so lucky that I had that. And I really, really am grateful that I had that. There are a lot of things I feel like in my life and in my childhood that were very, very challenging. But I'm glad that I did have that to parang counterbalance. Because if I didn't have that, parang, I don't know. I feel like I might be a murderer. Siguro masyadong
Hindi
extreme
naman.
yun, but hindi masyadong extreme yun, but I just feel like I would be much more
And
bitter,
greater the
and
world.
probably wouldn't know like really what it is to love and be loved. So yeah, so
Wow,
thanks
it's a
so
nice
much,
story.
mommy. Thanks so much, mommy, for that. I always think of you.
Wow, it's a nice story talaga.
Yeah.
Love is such a nice thing na receiving love talaga is you can't forget.
Yeah,
It's
and I think that bond,
mm,
at least I had that, right?
special.
Because there's a lot of things I feel like I didn't have that I was supposed to have, but I had that complete devotion of a mother to me. And I guess it's also a gift that she wasn't related to me, because then you know that you're capable of doing that and being that or feeling that for
To other.
someone who's not your blood. So it kind of like opens your horizon, and it doesn't limit you to your blood relatives. So ikaw, do you have other mother figures that are who are not related to you?
Nga super tight talaga yung family, no? So, well, when you say naman not really spending time with them, but I know if I would spend time, I would be okay with like my mom's friends, Tita Rita. I know uh she they're always there, how are you? They're my ano nga sa Facebook. I love it when they comment, like my mom's friends comment, you know. I know that they care for me so much. Of course, my yeah, all my other titas also, my mom's friends yan. That's the one that talagang I know who will be there for me. If I need to talk to them, they will
Mhm.
listen. So I'm so happy because nga close din ako dun sa friends ng moms ko because
Mhm.
growing up nga, kasi nga single mom din siya. So she had her friends and introduced. Lagi talaga akong kasama. Kahit anong mangyari, I'm always with my mom. My mom won't let me
Yeah.
alone lang. But of course, if she wants to go travel on her own, that's my mom, di ba? I told you. You said, galing nga, thinking of their happiness too. She's comfortable leaving me naman with her sisters and her siblings. So it's really family naman
Mhm.
kasi they were here pa when I was growing up before they left.
Mhm.
So when starting na siguro mga 10 or 11, that's when her siblings went to different countries na. So medyo
Mhm.
na rin ako nun. Pero laking bagay talaga, no, the people who have nurtured, no, or who's been there for us the most. They're
Mhm.
the people you really respect, diba? And you don't want to disappoint. And they're the people you really are most grateful for talaga.
Mhm.
So galing.
Mhm.
And your story is so nice kasi you won't expect that also from other people na ganun yung love at devotion na bibigay sa'yo.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm so glad. I'm so glad that I had that, and um I guess also something to point out now that we're grown and as women, we know na ang laking influence sa other women in our lives when we were growing up, right? Now that we were grown and we're in that age that we can give that to younger people, right? Um, do you think that there was a big influence from the women around us on what kind of women we became? Like, for example, I know your aunts are quite a cast of characters, you know,
Or
from your cuento, and also even not even much of your cuento, but even like mga Facebook posts na basa ko before, alam ko na parang super fun ng family mo, right? So, how do you think this shaped you as a woman, especially a queer woman?
well, the women in our family talaga really shaped us. Like
Mhm.
our confidence, how we navigate the world, our worth.
Mhm.
Kasi we were never shamed for anything eh. Kumbaga, wala kaming naririnig na, in the side, this is the side of my mom talaga. Like, wala kang marinig na, ang taba-taba mo ngayon, o ba't
Oh,
wala ka
that's
pang
nice.
boyfriend. That's why nga yung toxic traits ng Filipino, parang, thank God, I'm so
Na hindi
lucky.
ka na-expose
Hindi ka
doon.
exposed sa gano'n na parang, ha? Pag reunion, yun ang sinasabi sa inyo. Kami parang,
Yeah.
oh, how are you? What's happening? Ganon. It's always, what's happening to you?
Mhm.
And then we were not really influenced na, oh, kailangan maging doktor ka, maging engineer. Wala kaming ganon. Parang,
You're so lucky.
exactly. That's why nga, parang, uh, I'm always grateful for that. So, yung nga, how they carry themselves. Because sometimes nga, it's something, hindi naman kami mushy na family. We don't even say I love you much talaga. sometimes nga pag kami na Jessica, pag nag-hug, ha? Ba't tayo nag-hug? Mga ganon. Parang hindi kami yung ganon. But we
Super
know that
affectionate.
we're just, yeah, we're not super affectionate. We're just there uh, to support each other. Kumbaga,
Mhm.
lalaban ka ng family. So, yun din. And it really shaped me as a woman because, yun nga, hindi ako natatakot.
Mhm.
Because of the love and the support, you're shielded eh. You're
Mhm.
shielded by what's gonna happen kapag you're in the world, outside world, na parang, I don't have to worry about you. My family knows I'm gay. Kahit anong i
Uh-huh.
hirit nyo or parang ikalat nyo,
Yeah,
parang they say, huh? Eh,
that's such a gift.
know that na eh. Parang it's not surprise na um so, yun nga yung ang okay talaga. So, I'm always grateful for my family. Even the men in our family na, sorry, influenced by the women. So, the
Mhm.
men talaga are respectful of the women. They know women's strength. Kaya nga minsan nga, I always say, di ba, men are pigs except my cousins. Kasi nga,
Yeah.
parang, pag
Uh-huh.
nagkakwento, para ako, saving factor, buti na lang meron akong mga relatives na
And your
sobrang okay
example
na,
na
oo, good sa
yeah,
example na parang, buti na lang. Kung hindi, generalize ko
talaga.
na lahat. Kumbaga, ano na
Yeah,
talaga.
you're so great. Yeah, you're so lucky and that's such a gift to have that. Like even something as simple as yung hindi ka pinupuna up for your physical appearance, you know.
Super.
Um
You know that, yeah, I wear a bikini. I don't even care,
yeah,
diba?
yeah.
So,
Well,
butch na
everybody
butch,
should see
diba?
Leah in a bikini. I think that should be another episode because that is quite a sight. It's for some people it's puzzling, but for me I think it's pretty hot.
Yeah, it's, natawag na, kasi nga, butch na butch, tapos biglang,
Yeah.
bikini
Well,
ka. Eh, di ko,
that's had I think
yeah,
that's really great that kind of security that you grew up in that parang total acceptance and you just were not afraid of what you could be, where you're gonna be, how you
how you
are, or
are.
whatever, because alam mo talaga that someone will love you and accept you and just wants you to be happy, right? Because
Yes.
for a lot of other people and myself included, I grew up with a lot of yung pinupuna ka physically, especially the weight part. I feel like I have a huge complex with my weight. And, as you can see, I not really probably considered someone you would consider overweight. But believe me, ever since I was a teenager, no matter kung gaano ako kapayat, I just feel fat. Like now, I feel really, really, really fat and unhealthy, which is so sad, diba? Kasi parang, of course, the people don't see me that way, but I have beaten myself up so much because it was constant na, oh, tumataba ka, pag tumaba ka, ganyan, ganyan, ganyan. Kung ganito ka, no one will like you. If you act like a boy, no one will like you. Ganyan, ganyan. Yung andaming ganon, especially about the physical appearance. And then also the expectations of what you should be and yung maging doctor or whatever. There's so much of that it's so easy to make a child feel like no matter what they do, they will never measure up. So it's so nice to talk to someone like Leah who really truly believes and was raised with the idea that no matter what I do, I am loved. And no matter
Mm-mm.
what I do, I am accepted. As I just need to be happy and my entire family will be happy versus, you know, the standards that other people, myself included, have been raised in is no matter what you do, you'll never make them happy. You know,
Oh.
so it's very nice and very refreshing, actually. And I've always found this whenever I talk to you that it's so nice and refreshing to, again, tama talaga yung pagpapalaki sa'yo. Someone who is like
Okay.
raised right and that kind of security because parang when I talk to you, I just feel like you're just this like shining light of goodness and positivity and
Oh,
everybody's love
I will,
everybody's love for you. I think
yeah.
you were
Thank
just so
you.
surrounded. So when you meet people, you're just glowing with that and you just give that back, you
I should
know.
thank my lolo and lola for that. Kasi talagang, I think, hindi mas la positive, but we were always heard, I think. We were always respected for our opinions. I think that was
Mhm.
be good talaga. That's
That's
what
nice.
Nice talaga. So, what kind of influence do you think the women around us have on what kind of women will be?
I think they have an enormous impact, especially as role models, and also letting young women know about the possibilities that they have in the world, right? Because even if, for example, your biological mom or your parents have limited either abilities or ambitions, or they're just so conservative, or they grew up at a time na women aren't supposed to want more. If you see other women, or you're influenced by the other women in your life, what they, and learn what they do for a living, or what they can do, or their personalities and how they shine, or how they are not afraid, it has a huge impact. Like an example is that my oldest sister, I think she, I'm not sure if our listeners know her, Mirza Season. She's kind of like uh what do you call that term? But I feel like she's always been kind of like doing groundbreaking things ever since the beginning. Like she's always been such a strong supporter of women and what women can do. So, you know, I am a testament to the fact that she's always been like that. My aunt has always been like that,
Wow.
even since she was a teenager, and since I was like really young. She was always telling me that I can be whoever I want to be. I can do whatever I want. I can achieve anything. Like I was so young, she would give me all these books na jobs that women can have, tapos may mga picture book na parang engineer, veterinarian,
Mm.
astronaut, blah blah blah. And for that time, when we were growing up, it wasn't very common to have female role models for that, and especially not a female relative who will actually tell you that you can be whatever and you can do whatever, and parang naging limitless tuloy yung whatever I wanted to be. As long as I worked hard, I could do it. So to the outside world, my sister is still doing this kind of work, especially now that she retired from corporate world, and she's doing full-time career coaching and life coaching, and so she's doing this for everyone else. So that's one, like, I think, reason why I've grown up to also be braver than most, and maybe stronger, and also kind of a little bit brazen and fearless in knowing that I can stand on my own and I don't have to depend on anyone, and I can really pretty much do whatever I want, and I can achieve in fields whatever I get into. I think that kind of sense of possibility and courage, I think I can credit my sisters for. Also, my sister Aya has also influenced me in how she became a mother, and what kind of mother that she decided that she would be. I feel like it had a positive impact on me, in the sense that pwede mo palang i-control yon, because a lot of the times I think, especially women of our generation, parang, and older, parang a lot of the times parenthood, motherhood is just seen as parang you just get thrown into it, tapos bahala na. As parang, I guess whatever, I'm so busy, I'm too caught up, and I just, na parang you don't have control over the outcome. So my sister, I actually showed me by example that you do have control, and you can actually decide, I am going to be this kind of mother, and I am going to be this for my children. So she showed me that, and I think that's a big impact. And I also, my aunts, like the aunt that my ninang that I mentioned earlier, she was a little bit like a free spirit, also a single mom, and she basically did followed her own dreams and followed her own path, and that was such a great example for me too, especially when you're surrounded by a lot of conservative women, to have someone na parang, back in the day, the term liberated was a bad word, di ba? Pero ngayon parang, I was celebrated, but that she was just her own woman. She didn't answer to anyone. I think that is really good to see as a young person. I think that's a huge impact. And especially like queer aunts, I have a few. They never really came out. We never had a conversation about it, but just knowing that they were around and they had their partners, I think made me more comfortable, and parang hindi masyadong ang weird ko naman na, I turned out to be gay. And now I actually have a few gay nieces as well. So I guess it's, to have that, I think, to see that while you're growing up, I think it helps a lot. So, when I think about, the other side of the coin, like imagine if you only see one kind of woman na parang limited, cautious, submissive, afraid of change or judgment. And we see that kasi meron talagang mga lumalaki sa ganyang environment na parang, oh, hindi pwedeng ganyan. This is your role. You just have to find a husband, and then you become a mother, and you just have to be satisfied with what, fate, destiny gives you, or just become a mother and be happy and whatever. I feel like that has a huge impact on a young person. So yung seeing that you can be all sorts of things, and it doesn't define you, your successes and failures don't, it doesn't reflect on you as a woman na nagiging masama ka or whatever it is, failed relationships. Di ba parang, kasi parang, I think a lot of us grew up with this idea now, if you have a failed relationship, parang it's a reflection on you.
I know.
'Di ba? Parang, bakit ganun? Especially failed marriages, 'di ba? But it happens all the time. At least people who want to have healthy relationships will have failed relationships because you're not settling for a bad relationship. The way a lot of women are trained to settle para lang hindi maghiwalay. Parang you'll take the abuse, you'll take the bad treatment and ganyan because you only see one kind of woman, and that kind of woman na parang nagpapasensya lang, na martyr lang. You don't see the kind of woman who stands up for herself and says, no, I'm not going to take this. So therefore, I don't care if I become single, but I'm not going to do this. And also, that's a great example to that woman's daughters that, you don't have to stay in a bad relationship. So I think that is, it's in itself also like a huge impact and seeing, living by example, right? So, do you think the choices that you made in your life have something to do with what you saw around you and the women around you?
Absolutely. Like what you said nga, 'di ba? I just said a while ago, single mom talaga yung mom ko for a time before she remarried. So talagang strong personality talaga. Hindi ko siya nakita na nagluluksa na, that iniwan kami ng tatay ko, ganon. Parang, it happens, ganon. That's how my mom was just honest with me. Yun din, one of the things nga. She's like, in our school nga, parang the teacher said, she told my mom, you shouldn't tell your kid na wala na siyang tatay, ganyan, ganyan. Kasi I was telling daw my classmates nga that I don't have a dad. Eh, sabi ng mom ko, that's the truth eh. What can I do? Her dad left. So what can I do? Sabihin ko, nandyan siya, 'di ba? Parang give her
Mm-hmm.
another lie. So that was my mom. Exactly. She just showed pure strength. Na parang we're
Mm-hmm.
okay. Let's do this. Tuloy pa rin tayo.
Mm-hmm.
Ganon. It happens. And then, of course, the support of the family talaga was
Mm-hmm.
always there. And actually, super copycat ako ng mom ko. She was an athlete. So, gusto ko rin magkaroon ako ng varsity jacket. She's a national team player. Gusto ko, meron din akong jacket na may Philippine flag. She's a photographer. What's her job when I grew up. So, sa dark room, gusto ko na magka-dark room. Basta, super,
She's your
I,
idol.
she was super, super idol. I'm not even half of what
Mm-hmm.
she has accomplished and has done. But, yes, actually, my choices talaga are based on her. Siguro, because she made me feel that things that I should be. Naiyak ako, no? Siyempre, tuntua ako sa nanay
Of
ko.
course.
She made me feel that I have to do things that makes me happy.
Mm-hmm.
And doing those things, I just do things not to worry her. Kumbaga, my decisions
Mm-hmm.
are always important. Basta, I'm okay and it's not
Mm-hmm.
going to worry my mom. My mom says, basta I don't hear anything from you, that's a good sign. Like that.
Mm-hmm.
If there's no message about, like, if she will always kasi trust us. Parang, this is how I raised you, ikaw na bahala. You
Mm-hmm.
know, if you betray my trust, then ganon. Pero she always trusted us. So if gigimik ako, ganyan, I'll tell her. Basta wala daw news, that's good news. Kasi nga, di ba?
Uh-huh.
So, I really got influenced. And also my other aunts, kasi nga we grew up with the family
Mm-hmm.
talaga. The women really are really strong women. Kumbaga, you cannot, sila yung
Can't push
nakakatakot.
them around at saka
Really,
walang parang sunod-sunuran lang sa asawa, I think.
wala talaga. Equal. Kasi nga, and then their husbands naman are cool din. Kasi I don't think they would be
With the
with a guy
them.
na wouldn't be as cool as they
Yeah.
are. Say the guy would just really be insecure. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not kidding. If they would marry the women in our
Mm-hmm.
family, eh, kasi nga, everybody is equals eh.
Mm-hmm.
Kumbaga, walang dominante na parang, hindi pwede, I'm the man, ganyan. Pag walang ganon, they will just laugh at you and then, and they'll make you, ayun, that's why nga, the women in our big influence talaga. Na
Mm-hmm.
para, you don't want to also to disappoint them, 'di ba? Kasi nga they've been there for you and they showed you what you're supposed to be treated, and we grew up talaga not saying na you're supposed to be dependent on your spouse. Walang
Yeah.
ganon eh.
Mm-hmm.
Kumbaga, kung iniwan ka, di make it on your own. You can do it. Ganon. So,
Mm-hmm.
it's
Yeah.
very, ang laki ng influence talaga.
That's such a gift again. I think
Mm,
it's such a gift to be raised the way you were raised by your mom, where all she wants is for you to be happy. And also, she pursued her own happiness. I think
yes.
that's a lot.
Nakita ko yun
That's
eh.
what many of us, and I would even say most of us, especially in Filipino culture, but even outside Filipino culture, did not get from our mothers, because our mothers were trained that their number one job is to take care of you or to make the
Yes.
relationship, the marriage, and the family work. It was not acceptable for a mother to seek her own happiness. And so all the daughters we grow up believing that it's bad to think of yourself, that to be a woman you need to give everything and to sacrifice everything. Kailangan pagpasensyahan mo lahat. Kung may abuses, kailangan you just try your hard to stay and whatever. But for the mothers who actually were brave enough to say, I'm going to live my life to the fullest. And I want you, as my daughter, to live your life as a fullest, and live your life to the fullest. And nothing matters to me except your happiness. I don't care what job, I don't care what, degree or whatever it is.
Yes.
You just need to be happy. I think it's the greatest gift that you can give your child, kasi it's parang 100% acceptance, and it gives you really the license to follow your heart and to look for your own happiness and to live your life to the fullest. Kasi hindi ganyan eh yung pagpapalaki, especially in Asian culture, 'di ba? Parang
Super.
the checklist is your degree, your good job, and whatever, and this is supposed to be the ticket to happiness, but it's not. 'Di ba? It's not, and you're not allowed. Parang puro life is parang puro pasensya, and you're not allowed to think of what actually makes me happy. So again, such a great gift that you got from the
Swerte
women
talaga.
around you.
Kasi nga, di ba, sports talaga. So, kumbaga may degree sa physical education teacher. Sino bang mag-iisip na gusto mo maging PE teacher?
Yeah.
So, I told my mom, Mom, okay lang sa'yo, PE teacher ako. Sabi niya, masaya ka ba? Sabi ko, oo. O, di okay lang. Ganon. Parang, I was worried because syempre, we know naman how much a teacher can get in the Philippines. What if
Yeah.
I want to teach in public school pa, 'di ba? Parang
Yeah.
I was open to all schools. I just wanted to teach, 'di ba? And then she goes, you know what? Favorite advice of my mom, cross the bridge when you get there.
Yeah.
Kasi
You'll figure it out.
I was telling her already, eto lang, ganito mangyayari. Ay, nako, ganun mami. Ay, cross the bridge when you get there. So,
You'll
ako na,
figure it out
okay.
somehow.
Yes. I think it's also one kwento also, I think my lolo, when I finally realized na parang when my mom gave birth to me, parang ang ikli lang nung months nung marriage na nung tatay ko. So parang naisip ko, okay. So I was just laughing. So sabi ng mom ko, ay nako, your lolo nga didn't want me to get married daw to my father.
Mhm.
Kasi nga, kung nabuntis lang
Mhm.
daw siya, di wag
Mhm.
na.
Mhm.
Take care of your ganun. And my mom pa yung nag-worry, di ba? Sabi, I
Mhm.
should have listened to your lolo. Anyway, so
Mhm.
ganun ka, yun,
Yeah,
liberated.
yeah. And that's
Ah,
very unusual,
yes,
you
hindi
know,
nurse na.
especially for that
Sabi.
age nung time na pinanganak ka. Because even in my family, when my sister got pregnant, she had to marry her
Mm,
boyfriend.
yes. My lolo said, do not. May sabi, I didn't listen. Sabi ng mommy ko. So
Right.
anyway, so, 'di ba? That's why now that we are grown, right? And we're now the adult, it's important to know naman our role and how we can influence the young ones. So any tips to share to our listeners?
Like it or not, tayo na yung matanda ngayon.
Sobra, 'di ba?
We're actually, it's interesting because we're thinking about this, but we're actually past the motherhood years. If you think about
Oo
it,
nga, no?
our contemporaries, ang lalaki na ng mga anak nila, right? We are meeting,
College na.
when we reconnect with our friends or we talk to them, college na yung mga anak. Or actually, mga 25 years old or yung iba mga 30 years old na yung mga anak. And I feel like para sa ating mga child-free, we just think of ourselves as permanently young adults. And I
Yes.
didn't realize that, shit, I'm actually older. I'm actually like super, pwede nang maging lola
Yes, I have other batchmates. May apo na,
na
no?
lola, right? So
Yes.
so we do have now, we are actually overage na nga, but we do make an impact on young people. So things that I can share is that if you're actually a mother, um talking also from experience and also from observation of other mothers, especially since I didn't go that route of being like a biological mother, although a lot of people might think of me as like their mother figure. I feel like I feel like if you decide to be a parent, you really need to take that role seriously. And I'm not just talking about feeding your children, making sure they're alive, not sick, and going to school. Kasi I feel like a lot of us were raised in that kind of idea by
Mm-mm.
parents who probably didn't know better, or they just also came from that environment, or probably more difficult environments where they actually had a hard time physically raising their children or feeding the children or educating the children. I think we need to emphasize that parenthood is not just that, right? These are basic things, and these are the basic things that actually should be a given, right? But during that time, para kasing livestock lang yung mga bata eh. Parang para siyang alagang manok or alagang baboy. Basta wag mamatay, pakainin mo lang and then they'll grow. Send them to school. Tas parang automatically they're going to become productive adults. But it is such a crucial point, right? Formative years is such a crucial point. The childhood of your children is such a crucial point for you to spend as much time as possible and to catch your children when they're still absorbing everything, and actually they're the most receptive to you and actually listen to you and actually need you emotionally, psychologically. It's the time that you really need to be there, and don't discount that time because it has a permanent impact on their lives for the rest of their lives. Like the other things, yung pagpapakain sa kanila, pagpapalit ng diaper, paghatid sa school or whatever, these are things that can be fulfilled by my mga yaya nga, or other people can actually help with that. But the one-on-one time, attention, and actual parenting and guiding your children is the most important role, I think, that everybody needs to remember and not take for granted, because that time is so short and it passes so quickly. And before you know it, and a lot of people are experiencing this, it's gone. And then ayaw nang makinig sa'yo ng mga anak niyo, or it's just too late. It's closed. The window has closed, and you cannot reverse that, and you cannot be that person to your child again. And worse, someone might have filled that spot. You're lucky if it's a good person who fills that spot, but sometimes it's not a good person and impacts your child's life negatively. So aside
Exactly.
from knowing your role as a parent, also understand the impact of the people around you, and also the impact that they have on your children. Like if you decide to hire a yaya, understand the attachment of your children to them. Foster these good relationships, and foster relationships with good people to surround your child. We said earlier that, you know, it takes a village. So understand that everyone around your child has an impact. So always surround yourself with good people and be very protective of who gets to interact with your kids. Yung mga, ano naman, child-free women or people in general, younger generation now, there's a lot of people who actually are already deciding na wag mag-anak. For whatever reason, the environment or just reality or whatever. I'm glad that we all have this option now instead of dati parang sinasabi sa'yo, right? Na parang kailangan mo mag-anak. Now, actually, people are actually deciding. So if you decide to be child free, I think in general, not just because you influence others, but just for yourself, be a testament to the kind of person, to be a good person, and also to be the kind of person and woman that you want these children and girls to be, right? When you think about, what, again, we always say you want to be the person that you needed growing up. So if you needed a role model of somebody who is secure, who lives life to the fullest, who seeks their own happiness, you have to be that person and that kind of example. And try not to be limiting. Try not to like pigeonhole girls, especially, na parang, uy, wag kang ganyan, wag kang kumilos ng ganyan, don't wear this, don't wear that. Don't say anything physical. Don't like give so much value na, oh, you're so pretty, kaya nagugustuhan ka ng ganyan. Don't put so much. Actually, meron ako nakitang actually list na of things that you can say to a child that aren't physical. Because parati, di ba, of course, we're visual creatures. So usually, when we see a child, parang pretty mo naman, wow, guapo, wow, you're so mestizo. Di ba, ganun yung sinasabi. But supposedly, it's really not good to focus on the physical part. So there's actually a list, if you look up a list of things that you can say to children that have nothing to do with the physical, and parang encourages them in other ways. Like, for example, oh, wow. Whenever I see you, the room lights up. I feel like you bring so much joy to your family, or you're such a good friend. Oh, you're so friendly. Mga ganon na hindi physical. Like, be that kind of adult influence to kids, not focusing on the physical, not limiting girls, especially, not telling them what they should be, how they should act. Kailangan may boyfriend. Please don't be that tita. Please don't be that lola who says, may boyfriend ka na ba? Kailan ka mag-aasawa? Baka hindi ka yung magkaanak. Don't be, please try hard not to be that person that you hated growing up, right? In this world, without your influence, there's already so many voices telling girls and women not to achieve, to parang place them in these roles of being just a wife and a mother, and be conservative, be devoted. Puro mga ganyan na yung naririnig in the outside world. So don't add to that. Don't add to any kind of like influence where you're encouraging another person, a young person, to be small. Yung parang wag kang masyadong maingay, or don't have such high dream, don't dream so much. Yung parang, inaano mo na, parang you're already bursting their balloon
Limiting.
na bata pa lang. Don't be that kind of person. I think you should really try hard to be that big voice that tells young people that they're valid, their needs are valid, their happiness is valid, and you should all try to be that influence to young kids the way Leah's mom and her family was to her. Just be happy. And that is the most important thing. And that's what I can say.
Yes. Thank you. I was when we were talking about this topic, I was also thinking about how it influenced all of us as cousins,
Mhm,
Most of us are teachers
mhm,
now. So I
mhm,
think kasi our childhood was really fun, and
mhm,
we know how to approach kids because that we're the way I know I'm
mhm,
teaching or I'm coaching is how I was approached as a child
mhm,
on how to discipline and how to have that fun match.
mhm,
And I think that's also how my cousins who are an art teacher,
mhm,
special kids teacher, we're all mentoring or teaching somebody because I think we grew up really our childhood and we know how to relate to kids.
mhm,
Aunt Tita Marisa is still a teacher until now. She's
mhm,
already turning her 60s and
mhm,
she's a preschool teacher
mhm,
and her kids love her so much. So I think it's how we grew up really and
mhm,
influenced by the women and how we were taken care of when we were kids.
mhm,
So yes, so advice on being a good mother figure to children. Like what Kia said, even though you don't have your own child, be a good role models to the youth.
mhm,
Um, maybe to the kids of your friends or your sisters or your siblings' kids, right? For me naman, just for me, it's listening. Kids, I love listening. I love talking to kids because they have so much to say and you just
mhm,
listen and then you can just challenge their thoughts. I enjoy doing that.
mhm,
And take time with your child. Ba? Nothing compares to the gifts that you give. Christmas,
mhm,
that's
mhm,
nothing.
mhm,
The time you give, that's super
mhm,
valuable the to your child.
mhm,
They will never forget that as in.
mhm,
And for me then, seeing the kids now, I just realized, you know what, parents, you should teach your kids to be kind.
mhm,
Should teach them to be polite. You have to teach them to be respectful. Kasi I realized na, ay, tinuturo pala talaga yon. I mean, I thought it's something that will just happen because you watch TV or in your family.
mhm,
But you really have to teach them. Just to remind them, you have to say thank you, please. Just being able to relate to other people if there are people in around you, just to
mhm,
say hi, just to acknowledge people around you, just being respectful and polite. Yun nga, I never thought that's something that you have to teach kids or maybe be that as well.
mhm,
If they see what you're doing, they'll follow you talaga. And yun nga, like
mhm,
you said, you brought them to the world, 'di ba? Parang you have to take time talaga to be with them because you really have to take care of them until you let them go. And
mhm,
one thing I think my mom, I never really thought, because my mom's really doesn't talk much, but when
mhm,
she talks, talaga may substance. So, the poem that she really remembers is Your Children Are Not Your Children by Khalil Gibran. That's a really, really, really good poem. If parents, you could read that. So it just tells you that you're just there to bring them up to be really good people or to be independent people because at the end of the day, you're just the bow and they'll be your arrows, right? They will fly off. You just have to make sure that you just hold on tight and then just let go. So if you have time, parents, read that poem. Your children are not your children. It's such a nice poem, but I think you you know just teach your kids to be dependent or to be the kind of people you want them to be. It can't just happen, eh. It has to
no.
be thought. That's what I realized now. Oh,
Yeah.
no, hindi ko
Yeah, I
rin
think where there's like a shift, diba? Like I mentioned earlier, that really a lot of us were raised by parents who maybe through whatever they were going through or how they were raised, na parang bahala na, it's like I need to, well, first of all, I need to feed them, make sure they don't die, and then also make them behave yung para hindi lang sila to get in trouble, yung to have
yes.
that discipline, right? But then the actual upbringing and the values and the time and what they're supposed to do and what kind of happiness they're supposed to seek, what kind of partner, like there's so much that you need to teach your kids, especially when they're still receptive. And these are all just conversations, and you just need to really spend the time with them. I feel like it's so important and still very much overlooked because I'm not a parent, right? So it's easy for us to say, but I know that it's such an overwhelming job. And sometimes you just don't have the time to really sit with your kids and do the actual parenting that doesn't have anything to do with the physical, keeping them alive part, which takes up most of your time, right? So recognize the short window that you have to give your children everything that they need to become productive adults, I think, right? Because we always say, here's such a cliche, the children are our future, but do we realize like who's actually raising all the children aside from just feeding them? There's so much that goes into making a decent person, right? And we all have child with mothers or without children, we all have an impact. We always complain yung mga kabataan, bakit ganyan, 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 ganyan. But we're also all at fault kung bakit sila nagkaganyan.
True.
Because
Exactly.
where did they get that from? You know, just like parents can never really fully blame their children for how they turned out, right? Because however they turned out, they're a direct result of what they got from their primary caretakers, right?
True. So talaga, hands off ako talaga to parents. I mean, or whoever, if you're taking care of somebody, good
It's hard
job. That's
work. It's hard
hard,
work.
hard,
I couldn't
hard
do
work.
it.
Me too. I can't. I'll just be a coach. I'll be a teacher, the
Yeah.
best, the coolest tita. But to the parents and those who are ever taking care, if you're taking care of somebody, galing nyo. Salute.
Yes. You're doing so much more than we could ever handle. But
True.
we just had
Yes.
another great conversation, and I really want to thank you, Leah. I think this was so meaningful, and I hope our listeners learned a thing or two. In a few
Yes.
days, it's going to be Mother's Day. So happy Mother's Day to all the mothers and all the non mothers and all the ones who have mothered someone in some way, even without giving birth to them. Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day too. Oo, naiyak ako. Sa ibang conversation, nagbe-break talaga ako because, iba talagang influence ng women in my family or in my life.
Yeah.
So, thank you
You're
and
very,
very
very,
good,
very
nice,
fortunate. Even
good
even if I
conversation.
didn't have much of that, I always kind of just like bask in the success of how your family raised its women, and parang feeling ko kasala na rin ako doon.
On, everyone's always invited naman. If you go talaga to our family, you'll oh, Kia, diba? You met my cousins and nagluluto talaga tayo, diba? So anyway, sobrang thank you. Very nice episode. So this has been another episode of Salt and Pepe Podcast.
Thanks for listening to us as always. Don't forget to subscribe to all our social media and Spotify, especially if you still listen to Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to us. Please subscribe.
Yes, and check our Facebook, YouTube, and then our website, saltandpepe.gay. And
Yeah.
again, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we enjoyed sharing our thoughts.
And drop us a line if you have anything to say, any feedback. We welcome that. And thanks to all who have been dropping a line here and there. We really
Yes.
appreciate it. So
Thank
until
you.
next time, thanks so much, Leah. I really enjoyed this. And thanks everyone for tuning in.
Thanks, Kia. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks for letting us spice up your day.
Keep on listening to Salt and Pepe Podcast.
Konting alat
Konting anghang.
and Pepe all around.
This has been Lia.
And Shakira.
See you next time.